going to get into our drop footwork. But before we do, and we've talked about this a lot, this is a big time thing with Impossible Training, is teaching players our drop and our splits. But you have to understand what the difference are between a drop and a step. If I were to take a step forward, as you can see, just by where the ball still is and by that line is, I've brought my hips and my body forward. There's obviously nothing wrong with a long step. It's effective. However, if I split my feet, I'm still stepping a little bit forward. I'm getting a little bit of an advantage, but now if you notice, my hips are still here. That means I've dropped instead of gone forward. And so now my advantage is I can still drive, but now I can read you. If you give me space, I can shoot. And if you bite, I can cross. But if I were to just always step, I lose a lot of my ability to cross over because I've already gone forward too much, and I've lost the ability to shoot unless I step in or drag back, which can be slower, or they can lack space. And so your drop footwork is big time footwork to stay in the same place so you can make reactions in place. Let's take a look. Once again, this ball is our accountability. So every time that I physically drop down here, if I'm doing it correctly, ball's right here with me. If I were to take a step, ball's nowhere to be found. And so not only is this going to strengthen my hips and my hands, but it's going to make sure that my drop is fundamentally sound. I'm dropping before I drive. So here's our drop. Ball in my right hand means my right foot's going forward, splitting, and I'm snatching that ball up. Here we go. How quickly can you fall when you drop? Get down, let gravity pull you down. Split your feet. Left foot on the left side. Making sure we can get down quick and explode. And now obviously all you gotta do is explode out of that position. But that's your breakdown and your drop. Master that footwork and you're getting to a higher level with your first step. Training when we're using the tool of our medicine basketball is just the fact that we can change weights. We can change levels of height. Right now I'm using a medium ball. Now they come in small, medium, and large. The small would make me get lower because it's a little lower to the floor, but it's not going to give me as much strength. The medium is going to get me a little bit higher. I don't have to go quite as low. It'll build up my strength a little bit more. And the large would obviously not make me go as low, but it's going to maximize the strength of my hands and my hips. Right now I'm using right in the middle. I'm going to use our medium. But every time I split my feet and I explode down, I want to physically pull that ball up and really strengthen my hips and my explosion. This is going to give me that explosive first step later. Let's take a look. How quick right now can you get there? That's your through the legs with the snatch. All you gotta do is get a little bit off the floor. That's gonna get your hands, and then you gotta always drop right back down. Coaches are always trying to get players low. Well, that one, there's no choice. The beauty of moves are, it's not really as much about your hands. This is about your feet. If I can get the footwork down, my hands just have to be able to adapt. So through the legs and behind the back, many times is the exact same footwork. So if I master the drop, master the split, now all of a sudden all my hands need to do is just adapt to that situation. So now that we've really mastered our through the legs footwork, we just have to understand that our behind the back is the exact same. If I'm attacking right, I want to split my feet, right foot forward, left foot back, which is going to give me the ability in the game to step into that shot. Let's take a look. Really work on your slow to go. Mix up your speeds. Really master that footwork. And that's your behind the back. Splitting your feet. You can explode out of that later. This is our partner feet reactions. Now I really want my partner's hips to drop. We want to be able to gain the ability to drop our hips, be able to hit and protect and explode, just like we do with our snatches. But now Bryce is going to have to react off of me. And so if I'm Bryce's partner and I have the medicine ball and he has the basketball, he can keep his dribble anything he wants. But when I finally throw the ball at his feet, he has to have the ability to perform a move, snatch it up, and toss it right back. And so really going to be able to explore his reactions. Now, if I throw it too hard and too fast, Bryce might even have to give himself some space. So you can mix this up. It's really about just challenging your partner and building reaction and timing into your game. Bryce can do whatever he wants with his dribble. It's my job to challenge him. He'll get about 4 or 5 reactions, and then we'll switch. Here we go. Come on. Move that ball. Good, 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 good. Pop, react. Good. Excellent. Right back to me. Keep your good eyes up until the moment to get down and grab. Go. Quick. Good. 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 I can fake it on. Quick. Down. Good. 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 Go. Quick. Good. Good reaction. Come on. One more. One more. One more. One more. Keep that dribble. Keep it quick. Good. Good. Now switch. Excellent. Come on. I'm going to be as active as I can and react. That will really burn you out. And it's really just your job to react and keep your dribble. Eyes up until the very moment you've got to be able to hit, snatch it back to your partner. At Impossible, we don't teach rights and wrongs when we teach basketball skills. We teach options, we teach solutions. And there's a big kick going on in our country that all players, once they're in the paint, must come to two-footed stops. And while we teach two-footed stops, while those are important and they do give you control, balance, and power, we also have to teach our players one-footed jumps. We have to teach our players how those can be effective. Because if there's a moment in the game where they have to step on somebody, they need to be able to just jump. It's not always realistic to say you can still get that same finish off 2 feet. And so this is our snatch and stretch series, focusing on our ability to do a move against one big, one help side defender, and be able to switch sides. So every time I get to this med ball, I want to be able to go through my legs. I want to have my hand ready to protect. And I'm going to grab that medicine ball off the floor, really pulling that weight up, which will simulate contact. And off my one step, I got to be able to stretch the other side of the basket. We're going to use our large, our medium, and our small from different lengths from the basket to simulate our stretch. Let's take a look. Quick go, Bryce. Good. Good, good explosion, good finish. Now I really got to stretch. Here we go. Good finish. And that's our snatch and stretch series. Each one is going to be a little bit different based on the weight of that ball. You're going to feel that tug, and that's the game realistic portion of that skill. If you're going to have a great spin, then you better work on your spin. Any great move that you've ever seen, never be the person who says that's their move. I mean, they're just a natural. That's just because it's them. You have to understand, anything you see is proof that what they can do is possible for you. And so for right now, and especially when we're talking about skills, I have to have a great spin move. And so if my defender really cuts me off, and I see his shoulders and I see his chest, now I should be able to spin right off of him. But the mistake that a lot of players make is they expose that ball so they could possibly get a hand on that, or they're not strong enough after the contact to get a finish. So what I want you to have the ability to do is once I hit that defender, I want to rip and I got to be able to get back to this side of my body and have my arm ready to protect. And I want to be able to jump right off that spin. So right now, we're going to focus on a one-footed jump for a little bit of quickness. Let's take a look. So now we're going to combine our med ball to simulate that defender. See, a medicine ball is a cone replacement. It's a defender replacement. It's just a game simulator. And so if I'm able to attack, I'm always picturing a defender on me. And if they really roll across that arm, or if I have a big that I got to spin off of, at this moment in time, when I spin, I got to simulate that contact. So what we're going to do is we're going to make you change hands. And what this is going to do is cause a disturbance. It's going to feel like someone's hand on your arm. It's going to feel like that contact. So when I change hands and get my left hand to that ball, now it's going to simulate that exchange of protecting on that spin and getting your finish. This is a challenging drill. You might have to work on the spin before the medicine ball, but this being a medicine ball DVD, we're going to show you the advanced part of that with that switch. Good, here we go. Good. Good moves. Get that spin. Good finish. Good, work on that explosion and get that spin. Here we go. And that's our spin and switch with that medicine ball exchange. That exchange between hand to hand is going to slow your hands down and really simulate that defender. Let's get to the line and get a few and ones. A big part of a spin move is your ability to have strength from that spin. And that strength is going to come from your hips, your ability to drop and get low with that hard pound to really keep that strength. So if you get contact, you're not off balance. A lot of players have the habits of once they spin to stand straight up, where any bit of contact is going to knock them off, and now they're not going to have a very strong finish. Especially considering we're doing 1-foot finishes off our spin for a little bit more quickness off the floor. We have to keep ourselves low in order to pull that off. So now instead of just driving and switching, we're actually going to have to drop your hips down to that level to pick up the ball and then perform our spin. Let's take a look. You've got to put yourself into a point guard frame of mind right now, no matter what position you play. Run the floor, lead the show. So right now, as I'm dribbling out and I'm picturing the game, and I could do my moves in between, everything that we've worked on, but I'm going to toss that ball out ahead of me. And I'm going to work on my ability to go from a slow to a go. So as soon as that ball hits the floor, you've got to attack to go meet it. And now we have our pickup and our switch. Let's take a look. Go right. Good, good. Toss that out. As soon as it hits, go get that switch. Good move. Always feel the game. And then you can get creative with those finishes as well. Let's be honest about habits here. We're going to work on hitting the medicine ball to force ourselves to have a long step on our pivot. A lot of players refuse to do anything wrong because they fear they're going to develop a bad habit. Are we really thinking that we can develop habits in just a short amount of time? Right now, I'm going to have you do something wrong to get everything else right. You can always correct the other things later. But right now, in order to get somebody to step far enough, I have to get you stretching. So right now, we're going to make contact with the ball. Now, obviously, I'm not going to put the ball at my ankles here on a step through. If they're going to be right here, the ball's going to be protected. But this is about my feet right now, not my hands. So do this one thing wrong to get everything else right. And so every pivot that we have, to force ourselves to stretch far enough, we're going to make contact at that spot. Make sure we're stretching with our legs, not with our hands. Let's take a look. Step through first. You have to spin out. Come on. Good step, spin. We fade. We can fade if we want. Sometimes we can control that. Nice pivot. There you go. Get your balance. Last one, we got our step around. So with any pivot, step back. Kick to your leg. And that's your pivots with some contact, forcing you to step far enough on those original pivots. Now we're really just build strength into our bodies. But it's also going to be a bonus that's going to build timing into our games and work on the speed of our reactions. We call these pounds with the med ball. Obviously, we could have got fancier, but a pound with a dribble and a pound with the med ball accomplish the same thing. The only difference is a med ball requires strength and really builds our strength into our dribble. And then it's going to stay on the floor for us to perform any type of move, a snatch, to pick it up. And so we're going to start with the through the legs. I'm going to pound and immediately go through. And this is really all about your speed, explosion, and power with that elbow. Let's take a look. Both balls pound at the same time. And that's your pounds right into your throughs. As you get better at it, cut out a dribble. Work on your pace and floating that ball up. Always being strong with each and every dribble you do. If that doesn't get you better, if that doesn't increase your handle, I don't know what does. That's one of the best ball handling drills you can do. Now give it a shot. Let's put you on the wing. You need to understand that there's three things you can do with space once you've created it. A split, a drop through my legs, is all I really need at times to create some space. So if Bryce is guarding me and I split, he a lot of times will give me room just off of that move. Now from this moment, if we pause in time, there's three things I can do with that space. I can step back into that back foot, which is going to create more space between Bryce and I. I'm in this position. I can keep my space by sliding both feet together. We call it a foot replacement. Now look at all the space I had to shoot. Or I can claim the space. So if I went through, I can step into it, and now I've gained some space to the basket. So really, you need to understand those three options as we train. But right now, I'm going to work on my crossover and get myself closer to the basket. So if Bryce is really guarding me wide, and I want to get closer to the rim, I can through and step in, and I'm slowly inching and claiming space. At any moment now, I can explode. So we really got to work on our ability to go through our legs with a split, and then cross right back over, and let's get ourselves into the spot on the floor that we want. We're going to go through our legs with a pound right now, right into our crossover. And so every time I pound the ball down, I'm going to go through my legs, and I'm always going to go right into a switch, right into that low cross. And I'm obviously set back up to go again. So I'm going to inch my way forward, working on my explosiveness, my strength, my dribble, and my footwork. Let's take a look. I can take my time in between, or I can continue that. But I want to walk your way forward each and every move. Now let's hit the left. side of break. Hit both sides of your feet for ambidextrous feet. Hit both sides of your hands for ambidextrous hands. And now you have ambidexterity in your game. To really overwork our hips and our hands now, to be able to have maximum protection and maximum control on the ball, we're going to combine our snatches and our switches. So every time I snatch the ball, I have to perform a double move that's going to force me to switch with the ball. Let's take a look at some of our combos. And that's your combos out of your snatch and your switch. Just mix it up as often as you can. Always snatch the ball up, switching hands. That's one of the most challenging ball handling drills you can do for your skills. With our pound step backs with our medicine ball, and we're really going to focus on simulating our defender when they hit us and we have contact. See, I would do a step back if a defender beat me to a spot. So if Bryce beats me to the spot and gives me some contact or he's tight to my body, I would pound that last dribble and I'd push away with that inside foot. That's going to create me some natural space from my defender, from Bryce. What we're going to do with the medicine ball is really force the ball to the floor to help us with the timing of that dribble, with foot, hand, and ball all at the same time, so I can forcefully step away with some rhythm. This is a great way to build a step back into a player's game. We're going to perform our double crosses at every single cone and then get our step back at the end. You can mix up your pace on these. You're going to step away from that spot. Keep that cross low and wide. And that's your step back. Get some moves in there, work on your handle, and then step away from that cone. That med ball and cone will simulate that defender. I've seen so many articles or blogs from trainers who say that we're pushing kids too far. We're pushing them too hard. We're going too far past the so-called fundamentals. And my question constantly to players and coaches is simply, what is a fundamental? Are fundamentals just the exact same as they've always been? Is it possible the game is changing and therefore fundamentals are a little bit different than they used to be at times? And so we want to challenge ourselves a little bit more. My thing that I tell players is, if you want to be advanced, then start practicing advanced things. Don't think you're going to get advanced by doing what you can already do. So right now, we're going to challenge ourselves by doing things that we can't do. Can't is not a bad word, as long as you put a yet after it. You can't do this yet, but that's why we train. And so right now, as I attack Bryce, I'm going to challenge myself by exposing my left hand. And I want you to work on your ability, if you are going to be able to switch hands, to, after they respond, to be able to switch to that right hand and get a finish. Obviously, this is a very advanced finish. You might not be able to do this as a third grader, a fourth grader, or a fifth grader, but at the same time, you want to try it? You just want to do it at the end of your workout and see how close you can come? You want to see if you can hit the rim, or at least have some fun before you go home? So this is our challenge. This is our jump and juggle for all ages. Give it a shot. So this is our jump and juggle, but we're going to add some zigzags in. So every time you get to a cone, I want you to make a move and switch that ball. That's always going to make you aware of where defense might be. Really challenge yourself with your dribble. So any move I do, you have to be able to switch and be aware of what that hand is up to. And now I can have my attack. We get in the lane, I want you to expose the ball, and we're going to try to make an exchange. Now that exchange isn't realistic, but it will definitely make you aware of your body, help your hands, get your eyes back to the rim, and see if you can make a challenging finish. Have fun with this one. This is the jump and juggle. Here we go. Here we go. And that's your jump and juggle. Get creative here. If you don't want to do those switches, you're not ready for that yet, you can always make this last cone, the ball, and you can attack the middle. That's your jump and juggle. This is and 1 to 11. And I really want you to focus on your ability to knock down tough finishes. We're going to simulate tough ones, so it simulates a tougher finish in the game where you might have contact, and then you've got to hit some free throws. But the way this works is I'm still going to have my medicine ball, and now I can leave it at different cones throughout. After I attack the middle, you can do any finish that you want, but what I want you to do is do finishes that challenge you, finishes that may not be automatic. And so I'm going to do some switches. I'm going to get creative. I'm going to change hands. I'm maybe even do some 360 type spins to challenge myself to have some fun. Great way to close out a workout. But whatever happens, if I miss or make the layup, I always have free throws. If you miss the layup, you have 2 free throws. If you make the layup, you have 1 free throw. You got to get to 11 as quickly as you can. Let's take a look. There's my N1, that's 2. Free throws 1. That's 5. There's my 8. That's 9. And that's 11. Every make is 2. Every free throw is 1. See how quickly you can get to 11. How many possessions does it take? Here's the game situation. Bryce is guarding me 1 arm's length away. As a basketball player, you've got to know right away, based on the defender's space, what jabs are most effective. See, if Bryce is on me tight, this is not going to be a side jab territory if I already have my dribble or if I'm in triple threat. I'm not going to gain much threat by jabbing to the side. If Bryce is this close to me, a middle jab or a front jab would be my best actions to gain some space. But if Bryce is giving me 1 arm's length away, now a front jab or a middle jab really isn't going to be that effective. So these are my opportunities to understand that the most effective fake, most effective jab with this space is going to be a side jab, because all I really need to do is change a little bit of his stance to give myself an advantage and opportunity. So right now, everything we're going to do is out of a side jab, so you've got to picture 1 arm's length away, which also means crossovers from this space are going to be a little bit easier to execute without risk of that reach. So here's our plays. Here's what we're working on. One advantage, one cross that we might have is I might cross first to see how Bryce reacts. Now, if Bryce just gives me my space, I might be able to just drive. But what I want you to picture is if I jab and expose the ball, Bryce might get more eyes on ball, and so right after that jab, I can now cross. So that's our jab before our cross. Another advantage I may have is I may try to jab later. See, if Bryce's eyes are not on my ball but on my hips, now I'm going to jab and then cross. Now I have the advantage of being able to attack right away off that cross. So really, it's about just testing and trying out your defender based on where his eyes are and where his space are. So if I'm going to be here, cross, jab, and go, those can be some outstanding moves for you. Let's take a look at it in the breakdown. So with our jab into our cross, we really want to work on selling that jab, being short, quick, and hard with every single step. And then, as if they're eyeing that ball, I want to jab and then bring right back into that cross. And just the jab alone is going to create a rocking effect with your shoulders. Adding the medicine ball in will bring that protection into the game. Here we go. Always jab first and cross under that ball. You can mix up the pace. And that's your jab right into that crossover. Now we're going to perform our jabs after that cross to open up a little bit of space and opportunity. So every single time that I cross, I want to picture then the jab, pocket, and push that ball. So we're going to keep it in breakdown, but I really want to time that. As soon as that ball hits my hands, jab that defender, try to gain a little bit of a change in their stance. Here we go. Always after that cross, jab opposite. Short, quick, and hard with those feet. Sell that ball. Sell that jab. Get some space. Every single time. Pound that cross. Don't lose the speed there. And then have aggressive feet to perform that move. Let's just look at some common ways a defender can guard me. Obviously, he can guard me one arm's length away. And we've already talked about if a defender is one arm's length away, side jabs are a great tool. But if he starts to get a half arm's length away, he's not completely tight, now I'm looking more at a front jab to gain me some space and try to create a reaction. But if he's really guarding me, he's aggressive, sometimes I'm going to have to turn my hip, let him establish position on me. Now this is really tight, physical obviously. And at this position, I want to have the ability to not push, but I want to get an arm on his chest. And so when I jab into him, now I can pull back to create space. So this is creating an opportunity for me to get him back and me back, which creates the most space possible. So if he's on that hip and I can really jab him away and create space, now I've created a closeout opportunity and a chance to attack. So we're really going to focus on our ability to get our defender on our arm with a forearm shiver, but really jab between their legs to create that space with our pullback, and then have our reaction. I'm here with Bryce Stanhope, one of our national trainers with I'm Possible Training, and this is the Bryce Stanhope forearm shiver. And really what we're focusing on, this is a drill that Bryce has really developed great with his players, really establishing space. But I want to be able to put this medicine ball right into my defender's body. Now in this drill, we're each going to have a ball. For right now, Bryce is going to hold it, but I want to be able to hit and squeeze this ball, which is really going to simulate a lot of pressure on that arm. You'll be amazed at what 6 pounds or our large ball will do for you. And so if I'm into his body and I really jab, push, and escape him, that's going to be a great simulation of game-like contact. Now my partner is going to do the exact same thing. So he's going to pick up that ball with any type of snatch move, and he's going to bounce up, giving him one extra rep, and then we'll meet in the middle, and now he gets a chance to work on his forearm shiver. Let's take a look. The key here is patience. Don't rush your bounce out. Get into them and really let this game be a little physical. Here we go. Be patient and bounce back. Quick, get away. I meet him in the middle. Into my chest. Right at me, I'm going to be strong with them. Good, good, bounce back. Good. Now, obviously, that's dealing with a lot of just being physical, getting used to that contact, and bouncing out. It's not a physically draining drill. It's about your control and really developing a habit of bouncing away from a defender. That's the Bryce Stanhope forearm shiver. Now we're going to add some jabs into our toss and grab series. And so every time I toss the ball up, that's a moment in time where I must perform a jab to the side or a jab to the middle. So we want to work on one arm's length away and tight defenders all in one drill. And so every single time I toss up, I'm going to jab and grab to the side. I toss up, I'm going to jab and grab to the middle. I'm always keeping my root foot down, my drag foot down on each and every jab. Let's take a look. Mix up your pace. Your biggest keys are, don't fall into a rhythm. Add those jabs. Be aggressive with those jabs, but constantly change your speed and your timing. Now let's overload your senses. Let's overload your skills, your feet, your hands. And so every time I toss and jab to the side into the middle, I have to immediately switch sides. And so that means I'm going to toss the ball up, perform a cross, I'm going to put the ball down, I'm going to go through my legs. And so I want to do that as quick as I can and really overwork those moves and those skills that we've already worked on. Let's take a look. That's your jab to the side, jab to the middle. Hit him with the cross, hit it through the legs. That's a conditioner for you. That's when we don't necessarily want you to mix up your speeds. Go as hard as you can for as long as you can. Test your feet, test your hands. That's the I'm possible way. These are our contact adjustments. In the game, when you drive, you have to be able to finish after you jump. When I took my trip to Israel, and I've gone over there several times, I was able to work with Coach David Block, coaches Maccabi Tel Aviv. And what he said was really stuck with me. He said, what we have to teach our players more so is not how to finish, it's finishing after they're in the air. Because a lot of European players, I should say a lot of players who aren't as athletic, need to be able to work on finishing after their feet have left the floor. That means you have to delay your finish. You can't go easy on yourself and always just release the ball. Eventually, you have to have the ability to hang with whatever time you have and finish. So our med ball contact adjustments forces us to first meet the ball, work on protection, and then work on finishing. Let's take a look. We're going to attack right and left off of this, jumping off of one foot. There's really no rules as far as your dribble goes. The only rule is you cannot release the basketball until you've made contact with the medicine ball. Let's take a look. Get your eyes to the rim after that contact. Good contact, good left hand. And that's your contact adjustments with right and left hand. The keys are, see the medicine ball. You can see the contact as long as your eyes make the adjustments back to the rim, and you can stay in the air just long enough to finish.
So we've worked on the ability to hold off contact while we're in the air and really still be able to have the patience to find my opening to finish. So when my defender got his hands up, I protected and I finished. Now we're going to work on the strength portion of it. I'm still getting to the basket going up strong, but now I've got two hands on the ball. My defender may have the athleticism, the ability to really get up there and flow with me. I have to have the opportunity to pull away for my finish. We're going to bump up the med ball a little bit, get a little heavier weight in there, and really focus on taking that contact and still being able to finish. We're going to get some zigzags in with our switches, tossing that med ball up on our drive, making that contact for a finish. These are direct contact adjustments. And those are our direct contact adjustments. Always looking to make that contact in the air, still getting our finish for that and one.
When you work on your finishing, it's important for you to challenge yourself outside of just you with the ball and a basket. See, makes can be some of the most deceiving thing when you train on your own. Because if you make an easy layup with no one on you, it doesn't mean you're any good finishing at the basket. But if you can cause chaos to exist in your training, you can overload your mind and your body to the point where the game is a little bit more similar to your training. And so when I drive right now, Bryce is going to give me a reaction, so he's going to throw the ball in the air. And in that moment of time, I can either jump and protect like we've worked on, or I can physically hit the ball, which will force me to put the ball in different situations and make the adjustments. I'm going to get my finishes. I'm going to work on my jabs at the top. Let's take a look. Focus on that rim. Don't let the medicine ball distract you. Wherever that ball is, you just got to make the adjustments. That's a great way to test your reactions and finish in different ways. Pain is not weakness leaving the body. Pain is proof that weakness still exists in you. And that's one of the reasons why we're so passionate about medicine basketball training. Because you got to understand, we need to expose your flaws. We need to prove to you that weakness still exists in you. But you got to understand that there's no better joy than having weakness. And when you really grasp that understanding, you're going to see that anytime you can find weakness in your game, that means you have more room to improve in your game. Anytime you can find flaws in your game, it means you're not done. You can still move forward. And so this is an expose tool. We want to expose your weaknesses, and we're going to bring those flaws to the surface. It's up to you as a player to understand that this is going to be challenging. This is going to be difficult. And it might even take you time to get used to the concept of using a tool, using a medicine ball. But when you understand how to keep this real to the game, you understand how to have imagination and how you perform with this medicine basketball, you're going to come to the realization that this can take you to a level that you've never been. You know, I've had the opportunity to work with NBA superstars. I've worked with Dwayne Wade, I've worked with Kyrie Irving, Mario Chalmers, Evan Turner, Nolan Smith, and others. And you have to understand that this is a favorite. They love the challenge. They love to go through something that they've never done with this tool because it shows them improvement. It shows them the way of how to improve. And really, you're giving them ways to up their ceiling. See, eventually you get to a point, there's no more room to grow. Eventually you get to a point where you've mastered everything that you work on, and there's no more, space for you to cover. This is going to help expand your game. You know, personally, when I started using this tool, this medicine basketball, it brought me to a next level that I didn't really know I had in me. See, I hit a ceiling with my skills. And just by bringing this tool into it, my hands got stronger. My body got more explosive. My handle got quicker and tighter. And now, the rest is history. I'm here to show you that this tool can help your game and help you get to the level that you may never have thought you could reach.